All right. So this is a really interesting one. Obviously, you know me as the guy who usually interviews MMA fighters, people around the fight game. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this show, the Ariel Helwani Show, and do this completely on my own is to talk to people outside of the world of MMA, interesting people who I don't usually have the opportunity to talk to. And this is a perfect example of that kind of interview that I was looking forward to doing. This is Kendra Lust. She is kind enough to join us. She is a world-renowned adult entertainer. She's been doing this for quite some time. She's a massive sports fan and a massive MMA fan as well, as I've learned over the last year or so. It's great to have her on the show to talk about her career and everything she's accomplished. Kendra, how are you? Thank you for doing this.
I'm doing well. It is a beautiful day in Michigan, so I love it. I love this time of year. Trick or treating, Halloween was great, so I'm feeling great.
Looking forward to learning more about you. And like I said, I first learned that you were an MMA fan. I think a few of my friends, you had maybe commented on some posts of mine on Instagram or whatnot, and clearly knew what you were talking about. And a few of my friends were like, "Do you know Kendra Lust follows you? Do you know she's an MMA fan? She's writing on your posts." I didn't know that at the time, but I've quickly learned that you are a big fight fan. You even co-host an MMA slash lifestyle podcast with
Yeah.
UFC fighter Julian Marquez. When did you get into MMA, and why are you such a big fan of the sport?
So I have always been a huge sports fan. I think probably almost everything except golf. I don't really understand golf, although I did entertain it not too long ago for a charity event. So I've always loved sports. And recently, probably over the last 3.5 years, our little one started to become interested. And she went from total girly girl to this huge tomboy. And I started to become more interested because of her. And through that, I developed friendships and just like social networking within her like MMA community. And then I started getting busy on Twitter and discovered a lot of, I guess, people through like social media. So she's the reason.
And recently, you even went to the Apex, the hallowed grounds that is the Apex. What was that experience like?
Honestly, I enjoyed that experience more than just a regular UFC fight. I loved it because you could hear everything. You could hear the coaches, the teams. It was just a more personal experience. A lot of the family members of the fighters were there, and it felt kind of special. And it was really cool to bring her there and to let her experience that. So I think she had more fun though eating in the back. I'm not going to lie. She was just making all this food and just hanging out with Killer Bee. She loved her, and they were playing, cornhole, and she was just like her own little person. So for just turning 10, I was really impressed. But it was a really cool experience. I loved it.
I have seen your daughter train on on Instagram. I've seen some of her videos.
Yeah.
She is great, especially for a 10-year-old. If she says to
Yeah.
you one day, maybe 15, 16, 17, I actually want to do this for a living, I want to fight for a living,
Uh,
what is your response?
Boy, that is a good question. In all honesty, I think as parents, it's important to support our children's passions and desires, whatever that they may be, as long as they are obviously safe. So if that's something she wants to do, I'm on board. However, I'm a huge advocate for, well, I think all parents, they want their kids to get educated. So she will graduate from high school and she will at least try college, so she talks about wanting to go to college and Michigan State and all these things. So I'm like, wow, she's got a big plan here. So, whatever she wants to do, we're going to support 100%. So, I mean, it's a little, even though she says, Mom, you're never going to be able to watch me, fight because look at you now. You're like, oh, I can't watch. Oh, I can't watch. She's like, you can't. You're just not going to be able to take it. So, I don't know. We'll see. But if that's what she wants, hey, I'm on board.
Did you grow up in Michigan?
Yes. Born and
What
raised.
what kind of childhood did you have?
Oh, good question. I mean, I don't know what normal is. I think normal is relative. Like my normal is completely different than somebody else's normal. But it honestly, I had a really good childhood. I mean, we grew up, I wouldn't say, I don't know. Now I don't know that there's like a middle class. I think it's like lower class, upper class. I think that gap is shrinking. So we didn't go without much. I mean, we didn't fly. We pretty much drove everywhere. As far as vacation, I always make the reference about my dad. He was like Clark Griswold, like we're getting to Wally World somehow, and Jesus Christ, who knows what's going to happen on the way. But so it was pretty normal. I mean, my parents, they were working class. They worked, had a younger sister. I mean, it was pretty just, I don't know, I played sports. I had a good childhood, like a lot of cool memories. I mean, a lot of crazy ones like after 18, but the first 18 years, 19 years were pretty awesome.
So when you're, 16, 17 in high school, starting to think about your future, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, what were your dreams?
Right. And I kind of laugh about this. Sorry about that. I had a little notification. I always say, yeah, nobody grows up and says, oh yeah, I want to do adult film. Right. I mean, yeah, it's not something that anybody really thinks about doing. So when I was younger, I went back and forth pediatrician because I love kids. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I have to go to school for that long. Like, no, I can't, I could do it, but I'm not willing to put in that much time. So the first couple of years, I just kind of was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So my dad wanted me to go into like business management, marketing. So I was doing what he wanted me to do. And I was not passionate about it at all. I mean, I did sales at Art Van. I couldn't sell a mattress to somebody who was sleeping on the ground. It's just, I couldn't sell somebody something that they didn't need. So for me, it didn't feel authentic. So I decided to get into nursing, and I truly loved it. I practiced for about 8 years, and I still kind of miss it. So I loved it. I'm a caretaker, and that's what I do. And my blessing is my curse sometimes, but I am just passionate about people and taking care of the sick. And I really loved it.
When you say my blessing is my curse, what do you mean by that?
Because sometimes I am loyal to a fault, or I give and give and give, and it's not reciprocated. And sometimes I become frustrated with that. However, I've learned over the years that it is my own personal or character flaw. When you give, it should, it should be with no expectations, or no, nothing, no expectations, no disappointment. So it should just, and I do. I mean, I feel genuine, but I guess I expect people to give, or go above and beyond like I do. When they don't, it kind of pisses me off. However, not everybody is wired like I am. So sometimes, for a while I was becoming cynical, and I thought, you know what, I can't let the behavior of others change who I am, because, I started to kind of not like myself. I thought, boy, like this isn't me, and my husband was like, this isn't you, snap out of it. So, it's okay though. It's a good thing. Life is about learning, and yeah, so here I am.
So 8 years as a registered nurse, correct?
Yes.
In Michigan?
Yes.
Why do you stop?
Well, as they say, well, okay, so when I was working, I guess in adult, I was doing like webcam and stuff. Okay. So I thought, oh yeah, I can do this, and then no one will ever find out. And it was true when it was just webcam. I blocked the state of Michigan. I blocked Florida, where my mom was living at that time. So I was blocking, all these states, and remained anonymous for a while. And then someone in one of my rooms had said, have you ever thought of, doing like porn or adult film? And I thought, wow, like I enjoy it in my personal life, but I don't know that I could do it. I just thought, I was naive. I thought that the money was so much better, um, in film. So I thought, I'll do it, because at that time there was a lot going on in my family, financially, with my immediate family, and what was normal for me for a long time became very erratic and very dysfunctional. Okay, so my world around me was kind of crumbling, and I was desperate to find a way to keep my family together and to keep the financial stability within my family, and a little bit of my extended family together. So I did it. And I didn't know a thing about it. I didn't know anybody out there. I just took the plunge, and I really thought no one would find out. I didn't realize how large or how vast the internet was. Like, it's huge. So after 6 months of doing film, people found out. And I thought, oh gosh, like what do I do? So my husband was like, I don't care like what people think. And I said, I don't either. However, like I don't know. There's no turning back. He's like, okay, well, go big or go home. What do you think? I said, what do you think? And he's like, go big, baby. Like, who cares? Like, just do whatever works for us, and that's it. So we never looked back.
Wow. Okay. So a few follow-ups, if I can. When you're talking about your world crumbling around
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
what do you mean by that? I mean, um, financial problems, health problem. What is going on?
yeah, all of the above. So my parents, who were married and stable for so long, are now divorced or going through the process of divorce. My mom becomes ill. My sister's brutally beaten and hospitalized. So, and she has two young kids. I have, um, our daughter, and my husband was injured also off of work in the line of duty. So I had just like so much going on, and me being, I guess, just the person that I am, I had to fix it. I had to do something, so I picked up overtime at the hospital, but it really wasn't enough. I was trying to help my sister, and her kids, and school clothes and her bills and whatever. Like, we all have crap. However, for me, like, there is nothing that I won't do for my family. And I don't want to say I did it all for my family, but that was kind of what led to the film part, because the camming was just fun and sexy, and making extra money, or whatever. Um, and I mean, it was for my family, but I don't know how to explain it. But like, taking the big plunge, I guess, is kind of when things really got crappy. So there's like a couple things led me to camming, and then things just went crazy. So that's when I took the plunge for film.
Could I ask
I hope that's not confusing, but it was
No,
like one to the other, like
I
Jesus,
get
it's
it.
like a snowball.
You mentioned your sister was brutally beaten. What happened?
Yeah, so she was in a really, really abusive marriage for about 9 years, and we never knew. We just thought, hey, he's like just. And I try not to speak badly, although I do not like this human being to this day. But I still remain to classy and not. Anyway, so we just thought he was just a controlling husband. And as much as my mom and myself tried to, I guess, be there and say, offer options like, are you, is everything okay? And she denied it. And when I had my nieces, I would, I would kind of look and check, like, are there any signs, of like abuse or anything like that? So I didn't see anything on the kids, but I was just, I guess, not thinking that it was her, like he was doing things to her, so when that happened, it was, I don't know, you blame yourself, like, how come I didn't see the signs? Or, and I'm older sister, like I should have done something, or done more or whatever. But it's really hard because he, did a really good job of isolating her and kind of keeping her from the family. And it was a rough 9 years. It was a very strained relationship between my sister and I. And so yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. And I'm just grateful that my cousin came over that night, because if she wouldn't have, she would have bled internally. She was going into shock, and it
Wow.
was very bad. It was bad. So I'm so grateful that she is. Boy, I don't ever get teared up, but yeah, thanks. But yeah, so it was crazy, but we're good. She's good.
She's okay now?
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. She's in a great, great relationship. She's engaged. She's doing great. So I'm like so proud and so happy, because they say it takes a woman 7 times. I guess, like, they try to leave like around 7 times before they actually do. So, and some people don't ever have the courage. I don't know what that's like, and I can't imagine what she went through. And it's still difficult to talk about for her, and I'll never know everything. It's like on her terms. So yeah.
One last question on this. What
Yeah.
happened to the husband?
Well, he did go to jail for a short time. However, I do believe that she was truly afraid to press charges further,
Mm.
out of fear of retaliation. So she didn't pursue that, and he walks free to this day. And he's in a crappy relationship. I think the one good thing that came out of it is that he is fearful or he won't do that to his new wife, even though I know the relationship isn't great, because, he knows that ultimately he will go to jail. So, I mean, it's going to be longer. The consequences will be more severe. So, but, he's still to this day, they were at something recently, and he came up to her and he says, "Oh, do I scare you?" or something like that. Like, he's just the master of
Well,
manipulation. So, I wish my husband would have beat his ass on my mom's 50th birthday when he had him up against the wall. And it took 7 years for my husband to put his hands on him. But then he saw my nieces in the car and looked over and saw they were afraid. And he set him down. He's like, "It's your lucky day, motherfucker." Can I say that? He
yes.
said, "Because you would have needed a dentist." He said, "You were going to become a man today, son." Like, and it was bad. So anyway, crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, family is just fun, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. It is fun.
So
In
I'm
in
glad he's out of the picture. So, but my sister still kind of has to see him, because of their
right.
kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So
In a very weird way, is it possible that if these things aren't happening around you, as you say, your world is
yeah,
crumbling, that you
yeah,
don't go down this path? You don't go down, you're just
yeah,
kind of the registered nurse who's doing some stuff on the side. Is
yeah,
it possible that
yeah.
this all led to this whole other life for you?
I don't want to say, that like, oh, because of, or use that as like like a scapegoat, or, but I don't know that I would have felt compelled to take it further. I probably just would have had fun, been helping my sister out here and there, and maybe, and it's not all my sister. Like, we were having financial things too. We were living paycheck to paycheck at that time. It was just, there was a lot. And then, my dad, God rest his soul, up there. He was he went from like being Clark Griswold to being like, wait, what's that one movie with the bad Santa?
Oh, I think it's
Can't
called
think of his name. But what's
Bad
the
Santa.
actor?
Oh, Billy
Billy
Bob
Bob.
Thornton.
Yes. Okay.
Billy Bob.
He went from that extreme to the other. And I love him, but it was like, he became this man I didn't know, had an affair, had this whole other family, paying for college for a student, like a child that he doesn't even know, and not paying for my school. And I'm taking care of my mom, carrying her up 3 flights of stairs because she's sick. And, we drained the bank account. So it was just like, what is happening? Like,
Wow.
Jesus, like, it was just, and a lot of people have it the other way, right? Like, their childhood sucks, and then maybe they make amends with their family. And, things happen for a reason. And I'm not mad. Like, I don't have any ill feeling. Like, I just don't think it's healthy. So, like, I forgave my dad, before he passed. And, yeah, but it was just the opposite. So first 18, 19 years, and then, all of this like craziness happened. So, whew, it was a roller coaster.
Did the hospital that you were working at, did they tell you that you had to leave, or did you decide to drop that and go full time into adult?
Actually, I was working at the county jail because it worked out really well, and it was a lot of fun. So I went from hospital nursing to county jail prison nursing. Like, it was awesome. I
What is
loved it.
what's so awesome about that?
Well, okay, so my husband being a police officer, former police officer, I wanted to be able to relate. I was like, gosh, why doesn't he ever want to talk about work? Well, I realized, like, he sees the worst of the worst all day, every day, like kids abused and people just, just committing, I mean, crime sucks, but like just horrific things. So I thought, okay, I can go into the jail and I can learn. Yeah, right. I mean, that was I in 6 months I developed more street smarts than I did my entire life. But I was beat up for 6 months in there, because I was, so nice, and like, like the world is all sunshine and rainbows, you know. And boy, it was a rude awakening. It was a really cool experience though. And again, like, I think everything in life, everything that happens, you learn from it, or you can sit and like complain about it, or you can kind of try to make it into a positive thing. So I loved it. I had fun. So after 6 months, they weren't catcalling Nurse Michelle. That's my real name. Whatever. It's on Google. It is what it is. It was, okay, line up, have your pill, be ready, no BS. no hoarding your pills. I'm not waiting. If you're not lined up for med pass, then you don't get your meds. Like, I don't have time to waste. Like, I have a job to do. You're going to respect that. So, because I'm the only person in this, or one of the only people that will really give two shits if you drop to the floor. Okay. Because these guards aren't going to be doing CPR. They're going to pump on your chest with their foot. I guarantee it, because they just don't give a shit, so yeah, some did.
Wow.
And I don't speak for all of them, but a lot of times I think we become jaded and cynical when we're surrounded in an environment like that. And it's very easy to have that happen. But, my moral compass is, I don't know, it is what it is.
When you decide to go full-time into film and pursue this career full-time, you are married, correct?
Yes, to my high school sweetheart. I've known since I was 8.
You've known since you were 8.
Mhm.
What a mensch. This guy sounds like a great human being. He has no problem. I mean, let's just call it like it is. Like, his wife is out. So, and you are having, relations, if that's the best way of putting it, with other individuals not named him. He's okay with this?
Yeah, he is, because he's just really secure with who he is. And the act itself, I don't want to say it doesn't have meaning. It to me, well, I always say what you do does not define who you are. And there's a real difference between, like, when I think of just human behavior or animalistic behavior, even though we're calling it a sexual art. So I'm kind of contradicting. Can I talk today? Contradicting myself. It is supposed to be an art, a form of entertainment. However, in my mind, it is very, like, human. It's just raw. It means nothing. For me, there's no emotion. I don't feel any connection. That hormone that is released, oxytocin. I'm not, it's not, it doesn't, I don't know. I just don't associate that act with any feeling, I guess, unless I'm with my husband, period. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I don't want to call this person. I don't want to text you. I don't care if it was the best experience ever. I don't care. I don't love you. I feel nothing for you. I have no emotion. I respect you as a person, as a performer, as a colleague, but I don't care if I ever talk to you again. Like, and it sounds so cold and callous, but for me, that act, like, it truly has no meaning if there is no emotion, and if I have no connection, and if I have no, I don't know, it's just so different, and I can't explain it. It just means something to me.
Was it always that way for you, or was that something that you had to develop over time? You have to almost become immune to it.
No, because for me, like, no, don't get me wrong. You're feeling something. I'm not numb. I enjoy the act. It's great, or I wouldn't do it, right? I mean,
Right.
well, there are some, I'm not going to lie, that they're talking about what they're going to be eating. Oh, I can't wait to eat this salad. Here we are, or this chicken, and I'm like, I'm getting ready to what's happening here? Like, oh man, like this, damn it. Then it kind of ruins it. Like, sometimes, like, girls, and even sometimes the guys, you can tell, like, is this guy, like, playing on the same, or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, which switch hitter here. So
Okay, I get it.
For me, I'm just like, okay, I don't know. He's not, so whatever. But it feels good, it's enjoyable, but it's meaningless to me unless it's with someone I love,
And just curious, I mean, your job is your job, and when you're out there acting, performing, and then you come home, I mean, at some point, too much of chicken is not very, appetizing, right? Too much of anything isn't a good thing. And so
Right,
exactly. How do you have, the ability to then have a normal marriage with your husband?
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I think for me it was a lot easier because I don't live out there, and it doesn't, like, encompass me. It's not who I really identify as. I feel like I have an identity outside of Kendra, where I feel a lot of these performers, both male and female, they don't really have a true sense of self, or they don't really, maybe they don't value or know how to operate outside of their alter ego. And for me, my life is, like, so much more, like, yeah, Kendra, whatever, like, cool, she's cool, but really, I enjoy being wife, mom, friend, daughter. Like that's who I am. Like that makes me feel good. And um, yeah. So for me, and then too, like I didn't shoot a ton. So I wasn't out there weeks and I go out for like maybe 4 or 5 days, come home.
Mm.
So it was like very short. I didn't shoot a ton all the time. I wasn't a yes girl. I didn't do things that, well, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I did some dumb crap. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm having fun. I'm like, why would I do that? Like, I'm stupid looking back, but yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go there. So, but at the end of the day, I know who I am outside of that, and I'm not ashamed of what I do because I'm proud of my sexuality, and I don't like the double standard associated with it. I think it's crap, and that's a whole nother story for another day.
Which double
However,
standard? Which one are you
like
referring to?
if a male female performers, right? Male,
Okay.
oh yeah, you're a boss, you're a pimp, oh yeah,
Gotcha.
you're getting all these ladies, but a woman does it and she's this, she's that, and that's not okay. I think sex is natural, right? Oh god, I almost quoted a song, sex feels natural, sex feels good. Anyway, whatever, it's an old song. But and I think we should just embrace it and be sex positive, and just like if there's two consenting adults, let them do what makes them happy, right? If they're not hurting animals, children, or each other, then well, I guess unless they want to, just let them be free. Let them do what they want to do. Life is too short. When I die, God forbid, whatever that is, I always say, like, are people going to really care if my house is clean? Because I'm a little crazy about it. But, or are they going to really care, like, what I did? Right? I think people will remember you by how you made them feel, right? Like more of the positive things, or at least I hope, and not that I view that as a negative thing, but they're not going to be like, oh yeah, she was this, that. No, I know that I do enough good and I feel good about it. And I feel okay when I go to bed at night. Like I rest very easy at night, knowing I do what is right, and I don't know, and I give, and I don't care if people say, oh, you're gonna go broke, you donate, you do this. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. Like I'll do what I want to do, and he's not telling me not to, and the world sure isn't going to tell me not to, because I don't give a shit. Like I'm a good human and I know it. So
I'm assuming your daughter knows what you do for a living?
well, in 10-year-old terms, yes. Right.
How do you explain that to her? And when
Good
do you
question.
first explain it to her?
Oh my God, good question. And I struggled with that question for so long. And I thought, oh my God, like, oh geez, like what the hell? Like, how am I going to tell her? Because I don't want her to do, and that sounds hypocritical, right? However, I feel she won't have to, but there was a gun to my head to do it. I just think the opportunities in life for her, and her path is just going to be different, because we're alike, but we're different. So I started telling her when she was a little bit, she was like 6 or 7. I said, because we were at an event and somebody had called out my name, and she's like, why are they calling you that, Mom? I'm like, it's like her mommy should have said at that time. And I kind of explained, well, I do have a model name and, for work or whatever. And as like each year that as she developed, my husband and I kind of talked to her about things, and she brought it up to me. She was just before her 10th birthday. She says, Mom, kids know more than you think they know. And I was like, oh, interesting. Now she has some friends who are older, like 5th and 6th graders. Now they're boys, those little shits. I love them. But, I don't know, they're curious. Right. So she's like, Mom, I might not always like what you do or like agree with what you do for work. She says, but I have to respect it. She goes, because it's going down either way. And Dad respects it. And Dad knows. She goes, I have to respect it. I can't do anything about it. And I said, whew, like, I just was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, where did this 10-year-old come from with her, how she's thinking, right? So I said, well, I really appreciate that. I said, because, the last thing I would ever want would be for you to not love me or hate me for something that I did. I said, and I was worried that you would be angry with me. And she's like, you're my mom. I would never, I love you, Mom. I was like, oh, yeah, I love you too. And I said, but be prepared. People are, no matter what you do in life, whether it's good, bad, it doesn't matter. I said, people are going to say positive things, but they're also going to say a lot of negative things. I said, and I'm sorry if people say something to you that will hurt your feelings, because of me. I said, I can't control what people think or say. And I said, they are just words at the end of the day. I said, and I don't care what people say. And I know it's different for you. She says, oh, I don't care. She goes, I'll just choke them out, Mom. Like she was like very matter of fact, and she's very protective. So I'm not gonna say it's not going to affect her, but I guess I wanted to assure her that, she can talk to us and about anything. And, and she does, I'm sure she doesn't tell us everything. However, I didn't develop this. I read it in a parenting magazine. It talked about something called the bubble. And the bubble, and we started it when she was like 6, is this really special place. It's invisible, but it's a special place called the bubble where she can come and she'll say, Mom, let's go into the bubble. And we can be standing right here. And the bubble is a place where she can say whatever she wants. She can tell me whatever she wants, and she won't get in trouble. So it's a place for her to just like, and it gives me chills because it's just some of the things, like sometimes she was using that bubble just to like swear. And I'm like, okay, we have to stop this because it's not just a place for you to like, throw this word around or that word around. I said, because, I don't know that Dad's on board with that part of the bubble or whatever, but so yeah, so we still use it, and she uses it, when she wants to talk about stuff. So she'll be like, okay, Mom, bubble. So what really happened? Or like, she like, I want some tea, Mom. What's going on? So it's really cute. So, and I hope she continues to use it. It's a safe place for communication because I think kids need that, where they are not afraid to like bring stuff up. And I always tell her, if you have questions or just anything, like even if you're uncomfortable talking about it, write it. So I have a little journal. It's like a little Snoopy journal. I'm like, just write down what you're thinking, slip it under my door, and I'll write something back, because sometimes kids are afraid to like talk about things or they're embarrassed, like 10, it's a crazy time for them. So, so she knows, and, it is what it is. So we're just going to have to deal with, we hope nothing is going to come out. My entire sub knows. They knew before I moved in. That was fun. But they were all very open and very nice. And some of our best friends are 2 doors down, so we've been here almost 5 years. So it's a good thing. So they all know, everybody knows. And I, I'm like, I'm and they're like, yeah, you're just her mom. That's it.
So going back to a question I asked you at the very beginning, if in 10 years she says she wants to do this for a living, what are you saying?
I already told her, I said, down the road, I said, if this is something that you want to do, no, I'm not going to like it. I said, but there's one thing that, or a couple things that better be in place. I'm just preparing her. I have a feeling she's never going to want to, but, I could be wrong. And I explained it. I said, I made this decision as an adult. I was married, have, a nursing degree. I said, and I was very stable in life. I said, so you better make sure you have those things in place before you make a decision like that. I was like, and if you do, then that's fine. But not until then. She was, don't worry, I never want to do that. Like that's part. So
how do you feel like you are like when you go to like PTA meetings and things like that? Do you feel, you mentioned like when you moved into the neighborhood, oh, it was fun, everyone knew. How does that make you feel? Like you're just a mom trying to raise a child, but do you feel like you are treated differently? Do you feel like people look at you differently?
Oh, they may, but honestly, I don't really care. When people knew the first year and I had no clue. So here I am. Oh yeah, hey, I'm so and so, blah blah blah. It's Mom, whatever. And then I noticed, like, boy, people were really like knocking on our door a lot. So Girl Scout cookies, like the neighbor had come by, and she's like, knock knock, and I was like, oh whatever. And she's like, oh, your husband had bought some Girl Scout cookies, and I just wanted to deliver them. She's looking in my house, okay,
yeah,
and with her 3 kids, and I said, she goes, oh, I see you got your blinds up, and I said, whoa. Bridget, why don't you come on in and have some coffee? Like, whatever, I don't care. And so she's like, oh, okay. So she brings her kids in. Now, my mom is here at that time, staying with us for a few weeks from Florida, and my husband. They both look at me And they're like, we're going upstairs. I'm like, oh, that looks even better, mom. And like, cause my husband and my mother and my mom get along so good. They're like two peas in a pod. Like, so they go upstairs. I'm like, oh God, this just gets it better. I'm like, these two, I'm going to kill them after, but whatever. So we're sitting down and she's like, yeah, well, where'd you guys move from? And, didn't ask what I did, but she was like, yeah, she said something. We're just kind of like talking about the neighborhood a little bit, the cookies, the kids, the school. And then she's like, yeah, it's a small sub. And I said, yeah, I like it. It's just like one way in, one way out. I said, not a lot of traffic, but kind of secluded. I was like, I really like that. And she's like, yeah, she says, but in this sub, she goes, there's, a lot of talk when it's small. And I said, that's good. I want to get to know, the kids and the parents, because I want to be able to watch out for somebody else's kid. And I want the same for mine. And she says, yeah, but the other thing is, she says, if people are, I always say though, if people come to me and they're talking about somebody, they're probably talking about me too. And I said, well, the good thing, and I named off my address. I said, is this, if they don't live here, I said, I don't give a shit what they think if they're not paying my bills. I said, so yeah. I said, what did I say? I said, I act like a lady, but I kind of think like a man. I don't gossip. I don't give a shit. I don't do drama. I said, you would agree with me, wouldn't you? We all want the same thing. We want to raise happy, healthy, ethical, like just good kids, right? And she's like, yeah. So I shut her down and I shut the other one down too. She invited us over. Sorry if I'm taking up too much time. Cut me off at any time.
No, this is great. It's a fascinating look into your life, and I appreciate you being so candid.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is the deepest I've ever gotten with anybody, so it's good. Yeah. So anyway, so they invite us over, and now she knows what she's the nosiest one in the neighborhood, and I get along with her fine. A lot of people can't stand her. She's like the one-upper. I don't give a shit. Like, her landscaping looks amazing. Her everything is badass, and I tell her, I'm like, looking good. Like, I love it, because I'm not that person. I'm a middle of the road girl. I'm not trying to outdo Peter. I'm not trying to screw over Paul. I'm just middle of the road. Like, I just do what works for us. Okay. That's just how I am. So we're over there having, cocktail or whatever, and kids are playing or whatever. And she's like, oh, so what do you do for a living? She knew. And I said, well, I do adult film. I said, it's afforded a really good life for my family and myself. I said, and what else did I say? I said, do that. I said, and I got I have another business that I'm working on the side. I said, what about you? Her jaw dropped, because you know why? When you own it and you say it, and I mean, what can people say? I mean, yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm not ashamed of it. And when you own something, they can't really say anything. So do you know that same night though, she divulged so much information about her previous marriage and some very, very personal things. So I think sometimes when you become vulnerable or you make yourself vulnerable, people are more inclined to talk with you about their life, because you know what, like I don't judge people. I just don't. I know what it feels like, and it sucks, but you grow thick skin, and you hold your head up high and you keep moving. So yeah, that's it. So I love my neighborhood though.
It sounds like you've been able to ingrain yourself into the fabric of the neighborhood. Well done. In the 90s, when I'm a teenager and you're starting to know about what's out there in the world, the most popular, the most famous adult star, probably Jenna Jameson. I think most people would agree, who was also connected to the world of MMA with their relationship with Tito Ortiz. It feels, at least to me, I'm no expert, but you are approaching that territory. You are approaching. Do you feel like you are approaching like all-time legendary status? No, wrong.
God, no. I know Jenna, to me, will always be the queen.
She's
Period.
number one. She's the GOAT.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Nice to you?
Yes, she is. There was a time for some reason, there was a little, I don't know why. It was like some animosity, and I had no idea why. And I don't know, but her and I are great now. So I don't know, I don't know how that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I have like nothing but respect for her. But yeah, we're great. She's great. Yeah.
Could you have ever imagined that your life would be like this when you got into this? Meaning, the money that you've made, the success that you've had, the notoriety that you've garnered for yourself, like, was this a part of the dream, or have you exceeded your wildest dreams at this point?
You know, yeah, I never thought, no, 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 no. I never ever thought that. My whole goal was just to kind of like keep my family afloat and, do these things. As I learned more about the business, there were things I wanted to change about the business and I didn't like about the business, and a ton that I loved. But no, I never thought, nope. Yeah. So for me, when people say, "Oh yeah, don't donate, don't do this," and I don't know why I have to change my voice when I'm impersonating other people, but I do that. Oh no, you know. But if I don't know, I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. Like I wouldn't do it if I couldn't do it, or I felt it would negatively impact my family. So yeah. So
Well,
yeah. So I'm grateful. I've never in my life did I think I could have almost 3 houses paid off. And I'm not trying to gloat because I'm totally not like that. But sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, like scratch me, pinch me. Like this is not like, wow, like, and we're in Michigan, so it's a little different, but um, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's cool.
in your mind, how many more years would you like to be a part of this business for?
Yeah, it's really hard. The, I guess internally, I think, um, I always say like I'm not ready to hang up my thumb. If I guess if the revenue was not coming in, so it's like, gosh, it's more believe it or not, it is since 2019, the trajectory of like it is just it's insane. So how do you stop doing something that continues to grow? And it doesn't make sense. Like it would be stupid, but because I haven't professionally shot for anybody in over 3 years. I just do my OnlyFans. I have 2 toy deals. I have blah blah blah, this that. I'm just saying I have other revenue sources, and just a couple local business things. So for me, it's like it doesn't make sense for me to just I don't know, retire.
Right.
So
No, of course.
like, I don't want to. Part of me wants to just not do it anymore because
Okay, so
it's
are
like,
you having a dilemma, an internal dilemma?
yeah, I always kind of, well, not always, but like, at what point, like, I want to go out like a gilf, right?
Right.
So or like just past, the time where people will really enjoy watching me. But so yeah, so it's yeah, whatever. But we're gonna keep it going for a bit and we'll go from there.
Do we have time for two more questions? I know you have to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
Okay. What would you say, or what do you believe is the biggest misconception about not only you, but people
Yeah.
in your field?
Yeah, I think I don't like when people say, "Oh yeah, they're dirty." Well, technically we're not. Technically, the person, and that you might have, and I'm not judging. Like I said, go have fun, but are you always being safe, right? Do you really know what this person has when go out? You really don't. So for them, if people to say, "Oh yeah, you're dirty," well, we're tested. Like we know who and what everybody's status is when we work with them. So we're not, and we're sorry that you feel that way. However, we are cleaner than most people that you pick up at the bar,
Hmm.
and you have fun. Like get it on, but that's not fair. Or the misconception that that's all that we do, like my life is just this big that's what's going on. I have never brought an adult performer to my home. I have never brought a strange woman, a strange man. Not in this house, not happening. Okay, there's a time and a place, and that place is not where I live. It's not here, right? So for me, it's time and a place, like be a class act, and be able to separate the two. And a lot of performers who are parents, I think, they say, "Oh, how can you guys do that?" And it's like, I don't know. For me personally, like we again, we aren't what we do. We're not having orgy parties. dates, or okay, we're not doing all that kind of stuff. Okay, now before we had our daughter, we were wild and crazy and we had fun. I was baking cookies naked. We had a blast, But you grow and whatever. And I'm fine with that. I'm content. I love my life. I'm grateful. We're healthy. My family is healthy. And that's all that really matters to me. So yeah. Did I answer your questions, or
You
did
did.
I talk a lot?
No, you did. Actually, better than you think. By the way, who came up with the name?
Oh God. Like my hubs and a couple of my girlfriends, whatever. I told them and they were like, I have the same girlfriends. Oh my gosh, 15, 16 years now, like the same group of friends. Nothing's changed. I have my same friends who have supported me, and they get mad. They're like, why didn't you tell us about this? I'm like, I don't want to talk about me. Or we'll do roundtable, and I always put myself last. And they're like, well, we didn't get to you. I was like, no, it's good. Like, I'm good. Like, I want to, so just because I think a lot of my stuff is on display, and I probably might get old. Like, I don't want to be the center of attention. Like, when I just want to be with my friends, I want them to shine. So yeah.
Well, I gather okay. In that case, you didn't really answer the question, but fair enough. And I gather that you are the kind of person who doesn't like to, pat themselves on the back. You clearly you want the shine to go to other people. And so let me ask you this to ultimately make you as uncomfortable as possible. Why do you think you have had so much success? Why do you think you are so
Yeah.
popular? Why have you had such a successful career up until this point, in your opinion?
And I like that question because I can answer it with complete conviction, honesty, and utmost sincerity, because I'm nice. Honestly, like I feel okay, there are girls that are, and I'm not looking for fishing for compliments. I'm just saying there are girls that are 10 times more hot, that have like better bodies, way better performers. Like, I feel like I'm a mediocre performer. However, I think personality with, you can be like a 7 or an 8, but if you've got personality and you're nice and you're fun and you just own it, like, just have fun with it. Like, yeah, I got a stretch mark. Yeah, whatever here. Whatever. Just have fun with it. Own it, because life isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. Sex isn't perfect. Sex is sweaty, nasty, raw, crazy, whatever. Stuff happens, so it's like you gotta roll with it. You gotta have fun with it. You gotta be nice. You gotta engage with your fans. And at the end of the day, like, everything here is temporary. Everything is temporary, right? This life is temporary. So if you take it too seriously, you really, you don't get to enjoy the moment, right? So I don't know. I really went deep with that. So just
No.
have fun. That's
And
it.
you think the
Mhm.
fans realize this? You think they notice this, that you're a
Yeah,
good
I think
person?
they know, like, and oh yeah, but like they'll say, oh yeah, she's a good person, but she's like, not my speed, or she's whatever. I don't want to, like, insult anyone, but if she's maybe not attractive in their eyes or whatever, then she might not sell or whatever. So yeah, I get it. But like I said, if you're, a pretty or a decent, attractive human being, and you enjoy what you do, it shows on camera, you have fun, you engage with the fans, you're nice to people, like, people can feel it. I think
Your
they can.
your life reminds me a little bit of that of a pro wrestler, where there's something called kayfabe in the world of pro wrestling, where you kind of want to not let people know that the Undertaker is a real guy, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so you talking about your husband, your daughter, your normal life, I'm sure is not music to the ears of fans of yours, and yet
No.
you're okay with doing that. I'm sure you've gotten crazy messages, crazy DMs, crazy this and that. But at some point, you have to reach a point where you're okay with letting people know that you are an actual human being and not who they might think you are on camera. Correct?
Yes, gosh, you are such a talented interviewer and so intelligent. I don't know anyone that could kind of, well, a lot of people have interviewed me and really never kind of gone there. So, gosh, I like that.
Thank you.
And yes, for a long time, I was this big facade, right? Like, we don't say I'm married. It's like you don't want to ruin the fantasy for these people, right? But I think as I transition slowly out, the super fans, or I guess people maybe want to know, and maybe it'll attract a different demographic. And I might lose some along the way, but I don't know. You got to reinvent yourself. And not that I'm reinventing the wheel, but you got to give them something different, something for them to connect, maybe. Like I said, some may like it, some may not, but it is what it is.
Well, I wish you the best. This has
Thank
been an
you.
enlightening conversation. I've learned a lot. Like I said, I don't usually get to
Yeah.
talk to people in your field or any other field outside of the world of sports. So I really appreciate you doing this. I know you don't do a lot of it, and I appreciate the candor and the
Yes.
authenticity as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for keeping us entertained. You are so fun. I was listening to your last podcast. Anyway, it was just about Glover Trixera. I can't say his last name.
Tashera.
Tashera.
Yeah,
And anyway, it was just good though, because you're just goofy and fun. And so yeah, so thank you for keeping us entertained. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
Thanks for
much. All
having
the
me,
best to
guys.
you and your family. I really appreciate the time and wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you.